Hey guys, Tacoma Cyclist here, and with me as always, or usually, is Boogeyman. And today we're doing our Zone 2 work, which is intentionally pretty slow. And honestly, as valuable as it is to my legs, I gotta admit, sometimes it's annoying because I want to go faster. Anyway, it's really quite foggy out here today, and it's incredibly cold. 32 degrees right now. With it being 32 degrees and wet on the roads and really foggy, you might think I'd be worried about ice, but we really haven't had cold enough temperatures to have ice, so it's really just wet roads, and that's cool. What we do have to worry about in fog like this, again, I mean, you just can't see very far. The speeds we're going, we can see just fine. You know, the distance we need to see, we can see just fine. Cars, on the other hand, they can't. So, I'm not a huge fan of like highlighter yellow high-vis kit, but red works nice. People can see that. They see it really well. To give you an idea actually how foggy it is, since sometimes it's hard to tell on camera, that's the sun. Yep, that's the sun. So it's pretty foggy. Other than red kit, the Boogeyman and I have one other piece of kit that helps us a great deal in times like this, and really any other time for that matter. And I'm going to fall back here and show you. And that is these Garmin Varia Lights, rear radar lights. If you're not familiar with these, I would say get familiar with them. And for the longest time I thought, that's just a gimmick. It's just stupid. Until I got one, because I got a really good deal on it. And actually, because somebody talked me into it, they told me it was a game changer. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. Except, no, it really is. It is a game changer. I just got the alert notification right now that somebody's behind me, and I can see exactly where they are and how quickly they're closing. I don't know about you, but when I'm riding, particularly on a busy road, or really on most roads, I'm frequently looking over my shoulder to see who's behind me and how fast they're coming up on me, even if there's no one there, right? You're just like constantly trying to be aware. I don't have to do that anymore. I mean, you should still be familiar with your surroundings, right? And aware of them. But having something that clues you in so that you know when to look over your shoulder instead of having to constantly just shoulder check all the time, it's really helpful. Especially nowadays with all the electric cars, you don't even hear them coming until they're right on top of you. I mean, at least the big diesel bros, you can hear them 1.5 miles away. You can't hear the Tesla bros 1.5 miles away. You can hear them about 17 feet away. So the real question is, can you trust it? You know, it's only a game changer if it truly changes the game, and you can always trust it. And I don't know, I don't think I'll ever 100% completely trust any piece of computer equipment, especially something consumer grade like this, right? Sorry, I'm going up a 10% hill right now. trying to stay in zone 2. That's fun. But let's talk about the two different types of systemic failures of a system like this: false positives and false negatives. A false positive is when the system reads that there's a problem, or in this case, that there's a car behind you, but there actually isn't. And a false negative, well, that's the opposite. And that's the one that should scare you. And that's where the system doesn't tell you there's a car behind you, but there is. Now, for me to trust this, for both me and for the boogeyman, I want to know that there's no false positives. But let's start with the false negatives. Sorry, I want to make sure there's no false negatives. Let's start with the false positives, though, because those are easy to deal with. How many times have we been riding and had a signal show up saying it's a car, but it's not actually a car?
5 times.
5 times. And usually it's one of us fast approaching the other one, or it's a car on an adjacent road. So it's kind of telling you the truth. You know, from a different point of view, but it is actually telling you there's a car there. So the false positives, that's not a big deal, not an issue at all. Let's talk about the false negatives. Since we've been using this device, oh, very steep climb. Since we've been using this device, have we ever been super surprised by a car that we didn't know was there?
No, we've never had that happen.
Yeah, never. We do have false negatives, though. We do have them, and it does happen. But here's how. If you are riding along and a car comes up behind you, and they're going the same speed as you, as they approach you at a higher speed, they'll show up. But then as they start going the same speed as you, they will disappear. Chances are you've probably already done a once over your shoulder at this point, and you probably already know they're there. But it's worth knowing that if you get a false negative, that's probably it. And that's actually by design, because, you know, if you're riding in a group of other cyclists, you don't want your radar constantly telling you there's somebody behind you. So the idea behind it is it wants you to recognize that there was a challenge, and now there's less likely to be a challenge.
Yeah, the radar isn't supposed to tell you when somebody's with you, it's supposed to tell you when somebody's coming up on you.
Exactly. So, how has this become a game changer? Well, it gives me a lot more confidence knowing who's behind me and how fast they're approaching. And the how fast part is actually pretty simple. When the indicator lights up on the side of my device, it lights up yellow, orange, or red. Yellow means somebody's coming up, but the speed differential is not that high, or they're not really directly in line with me. Orange means you should be aware somebody's coming up fast, or they're directly behind you. Red means the speed differential is huge, and or you're about to get plowed into. And those have been very accurate so far. See, that's why you want these things, because that dump truck was going on this very narrow, very quiet road, probably at about 45, 50 miles an hour when the speed limit was 25. and it wouldn't move over. So knowing that it was here was nice, you know, so we didn't get flattened, I guess. Anyway, there's one other really awesome feature of the Garmin Varia, which is that you can pair one radar to multiple Garmins. I think 5 is the max, but it might be more. I'll double check. And what's cool about that is, like, for the longest time, the Boogeyman and I only had one radar, but we could pair it to both of our computers, so we would both have the same data telling us when a car was coming. Now, the only catch to that is if the person with the radar is in front, the person behind has to realize that the car that's showing up on their radar is closer than they think. So, no big deal though. What's really cool about it is if you show up to a group ride and somebody's got they've got a Garmin Varia rear light, not the front one. I mean, you can do it with the front one too, but it doesn't do the radar stuff. But if they've got a rear Garmin Varia, ask them if you can piggyback off of it. Just see if you can. You don't even have to ask them, frankly. You can literally just tell it to pair with a light and it'll find it. And then you can try for yourself and see if you like it. You can be the guy on a group ride that tells everybody, hey, I've got my Varia on, you can feel free to pair it. And it's a pretty nice thing to do. Anyway, we like it, and the routes that we're on today, it's really good for, because we're on we spend a lot of time on a narrow 1 lane each way, 40 mile an hour, minimal shoulder. It's a cyclist friendly area. We're right next to a military base and there's a lot of active people here. Otherwise I probably wouldn't ride on that type of road, but it is a very cyclist friendly area. But every once in a while you get that jerk that wants to reassure you that you don't belong anywhere near them. So they like to close past you. Knowing that you have that level of confidence of knowing that, hey, we know this car's behind us, let's take a look. Oh, they're coming really, really close. You can either motion for them to move over, or you can abandon and jump into a ditch. Thankfully, haven't had to do that in a while. But anyway, it's just that added piece of confidence. It's definitely worth it. We think it's a game changer. So now we don't ride without them. Totally worth it. Okay, so that's our Saturday Zone 2 workout for this week. It's about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. I'll put the Strava file up here. And average pace of about 15 miles an hour, although I don't really pay attention to speed so much as I do power. I will say Zone 2 is actually a lot harder than you would think. Not because it's physically challenging, it's not. It's hard to stay at Zone 2 or below. You naturally kind of want to go a little faster, a little stronger, especially the moment there's a hill. And to really have that self-control and stay at Zone 2 or Zone 1 is hard. And we failed a couple times today, but honestly, we've got some 18% climbs on our route. Yes, we're going to fail that. It's pretty hard to do under 200 watts on an 18% hill without falling over. So we failed those, but for the most part, for the vast majority, we stayed in Zone 1 and Zone 2, and it kind of sucks. It's a stark contrast from what you probably already do on a regular Saturday ride. On your Saturday rides, yeah, there's probably a lot of downtime, there's probably a lot of cruising and coasting, but there's also probably those times where you're out there smashing it. We didn't do that today. So it made the ride feel really, really slow. It was enjoyable. It was beautiful weather, although very cold, kind of wet, and it started out pretty foggy at first. It turned out to be quite a beautiful day. So no issues, good drivers overall, and we got an opportunity to talk about the Garmin Varia. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Tomorrow is our coffee shop ride, which is all about having fun, and we're gonna go have fun. This weather's supposed to be tolerable tomorrow, so tolerable in the Northwest means it's gonna be wet and cold, but it's not gonna be disgusting. So check us out again tomorrow. I'll have more content for you then, and until then, stay awesome. Give us a thumbs up. If you're enjoying this vlog, I know there's not a whole lot of viewers, and that's totally cool, but if you're enjoying it, maybe share it with some folks that you want to get enthused about training to get faster or training to get slimmer or all of the above. We'd love it if you'd share it and let your friends know that you're watching it. Until next time, thanks so much for checking us out, and we will see you again soon.